So listen, man, I've been a fan of your work for a long time, so it's cool to actually get to talk with you. I like throwing some curveballs at the beginning. I promise these are not hard hitting. If someone has never seen anything that you've done, what's the first thing you want them to watch?
Um, movie.
Okay. Is there any reason for that?
Well, it was the first movie I ever did. First time I ever did anything on film, and it's a true character piece. I mean, it's a comedy. So I think a lot of people don't realize that I got my start in comedy.
I obviously grew up when I was younger. I saw Clash of the Titans, and I'm a big fan of Ray Harryhausen. Did you ever actually get to hang out with Ray? Do you have any memories of working with him?
Well, of course. And he didn't really like me at the end of the movie because I refused to do a worldwide tour that was being underwritten by South Africa. And at the time, South Africa was on my list of places I couldn't go. And he got very angry with me about that. And I didn't speak with Ray for 25 years, but then he called me up one day and said, "You know what? Let's do a tour together." And we went out. We hit a few places and talked about the movie together.
That I didn't know any of that, and I'm just going to say thank you for sharing. When I was a kid, I maybe had watched a little bit of LA Law, and I'm just curious, when you made that pilot, did you have any idea that the show was going to go? Did you have a good feeling when you were filming it?
We had no idea. You never do with TV shows like that. But in those days, it was picked up already for like 6 episodes or something. So we knew we were going to do at least 6.
What was your, if you don't mind, when you look back on the making of the show, is there anything that like people would be surprised to learn about the behind the scenes, like what it was like to make something like that?
Well, I think one of the things is that the writers would come over and we would from time to time have coffee and just gab. And they took whatever we talked about and put it in the show. So, yeah, it was, the writers absorbed everything about our lives. And if there was anything in our lives that was translatable to the show, we would find it in the script the next week.
Jumping into why I actually get to talk to you today, congrats on the series. I watched the whole thing. I think one of the things it really does so well is that it captures that energy after 9/11, when everyone was just so scared and so nervous about everything that was going on and nervous that another terrorist strike could happen. Could you sort of talk about that aspect of the series?
Well, I mean, look, you're right. We were all freaked out by 9/11, and we thought that this was an extension of 9/11. We thought, well, okay, the terrorists are now they're now putting anthrax in envelopes and sending them around, and it wasn't until we began to realize that maybe this was more homegrown that it actually freaked us out a lot more. I mean, so we got terrorism coming from over there and terrorism coming from here too, So I was very aware of it when it was happening, and even canceled a trip back east from LA because it was happening at that time. And we were all told to go out and buy duct tape, and in case a crop duster dusted us with anthrax, we could duct tape our windows shut. So yeah, it was a scary time, and we were all in the middle of it.
What was it about the scripts, the story, getting to play Tom? What was it about the series that said, I want to do this?
Well, it was Tom Brokaw, because it was absolutely terrifying to take on a role like that. And I like to do things that are impossible to do for some reason. It's some kind of hubris that I have in me. So someone says, take this on, you'll never be able to do it. And I go, okay, I'll do it. I've sort of lived my life that way. A lot of things that I've done are things that most people wouldn't do. I did a movie called Making Love back in the early 90s that every single movie star in town turned down because they thought it would hurt their career. And I thought it was a great opportunity. So I did it.
It's so interesting. I've been fortunate to over the many years of talking to many different actors, and so many of them have told me, when I'm scared of something, immediately I know I need to go do it.
No, that's it. Okay, there you go. That's exactly who I am. Yeah.
What I'm curious, did you watch a lot of video? Like, how did you find Tom's voice for the role?
No, there's tremendous amount of material on Tom Brokaw, of course, and we have this thing called the internet. So yeah, I mean, it's actually pretty easy to go in and find enough material to bend yourself closer to another human being. No, I've never tried to do that before. I've never done impressions before of people or anything like that. So I'm not. It's not what I do. So I had to relearn a whole new way of approaching a character, and which was a challenge, but it was a fun challenge.
Well, I wanted to know, were you spending, because I've spoken to a lot of actors and they talk about, let me put it like this. If you have a big scene, say on a Monday, how early before that day are you breaking down how you're going to do it? Like I've spoken to a lot of actors who talk about how weeks in advance, and other people are a little closer to the day. I'm just curious I like learning how people like to work.
Well, it depends upon how much time we have with the scene. If I have a script a month in advance or 2 months in advance, I'll spend every day working on it before I get to the set, But in this day and age, a lot of times the script doesn't get into your inbox until hours before you're doing the scene. So I'll take as much time as I have, and I will work on it as much as I can before doing it. Preparation is everything. And I was fortunate enough years and years ago to work with George Cukor, a great actor, a great director. And he's used to say every day, that his friend Spencer Tracy said, the most important thing about acting on film is learning your lines. The three most important things: learn your lines, learn your lines, learn your lines. So I took that to heart.
I always love when I can do any interview and someone is bringing up Spencer Tracy. That's fantastic. I'm just throwing that out there. One of the things, how much did you actually know? Because I knew a little bit about this, but as I was watching, I don't want to do spoilers, I forgot about, oh man, how can I word this without, how much did you know about the full storyline? Because as I was watching, I forgot certain things and was quite surprised at the reveal.
I didn't know that much about the full storyline, and that's what's going to be great when people watch the series, is it's a mystery, and it's a thriller in a way. So not only do they learn about that anthrax attack, but they also are on the edge of their seat wondering, okay, who done it? So it's great that way.
I love learning about the behind the scenes of the making of shows and movies. I think maybe you figured that out about me. What do you think might surprise people to learn about the making of this series?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we had to quarantine for 14 days when we got to Toronto, and I did that. And then I had all of my work was compressed into a few days because I was in the episode 1 and episode 2, and they were very generous to compress it all into 2 days. But then just before I was going to film my last scene with Daniel, he got exposed and he had to go into quarantine immediately. So I had to, stay there for another 14 days. And so that happened a few times during the filming of the show. It's a very different thing when you're filming a show in a pandemic, and particularly in a pandemic where the borders are closed down and there's all this quarantining that has to go on. So I don't know if that would be surprising to someone or not, but that did happen to me.
Oh, I definitely think that's something interesting to learn. I was thinking, when you have to wear that the outfits for being in quarantine, like with the diseases, like the protection gear. So probably the first project that people like, I want to wear all that all day. Like all the scenes where I'm being protected. This is great. I'm sort of joking around, but normally I don't think people want to wear that stuff.
No, I don't think so.
Right. So talk a little bit about, you do have a fun scene with Daniel though, when you eventually got to film it. Daniel really brought a lot to this role, having to, react to everything that's going on, but he's also dealing with PTSD. Can you sort of talk a little bit about working with him?
Well, like I said, we had that one scene together, and that 14 days stretched out because I had to wait for him to be out of quarantine. So we didn't have a lot of preparation time together because by then we had lost 14 days. They'd had to move everything around. So when I had prepared for that scene without him, and the first take we did, I came in much hotter than the director wanted it to be. Now, they may have used that take. I don't know what take they used, but I had, I worked myself up pretty intensely. I was angry that they were not paying attention to, my assistant who was really sick. So I came in really hot, and the director said, no, he's not that angry, whatever. So, but I think we ended up in just the right spot.
No, I thought you did a great job, and I really enjoyed this series. I got to wrap there. I'm just going to say, seriously, thank you for talking with me, and I wish you nothing but the best.
Well, and right back at you.